babies. I don't even wanna go back home. Hopefully I can be on your arm. Hopefully we don't have no babies. I don't even wanna go back home.
Hey everybody, it's Connie and Milani, and we're back with another video. This video is going to be my pregnancy experience story. I'm gonna try and do this video as quickly and as detailed but as short as possible. I don't want it to be 30 minutes again, and I'm really not trying to edit all of that because it takes a long time. I decided to try and break down this video into 4 sections, which would be 4 trimesters. The first trimester is where you experience morning sickness or you don't, weight gain or you don't. You find out when you're pregnant, you know, different things like that. You have your first doctor's appointment, ultrasounds, all that kind of stuff. My experience wasn't crazy, but it wasn't like everyone's, you know, because everybody's experience is different. I had some questions that a lot of people asked me, or the things that I got over and over again. And one of those questions was, how did I find out that I was pregnant? Of course, I took a test, but I kind of already knew that I was pregnant before I actually took a test and found out. I could just tell differences in my body, and I could feel differences in my body. Things that were definitely not normal, and things that I could see, and you know, somebody that was communicating with me every single day, or that just, you know, knew how I looked on a regular basis as opposed to somebody who didn't. And those people could also notice different things, like there was weight gain in my face, and like there was a different kind of glow that I had. There was a little bit of weight loss. Actually, I had like a video that my friend sent me last night, and my head just looked so big, but the rest of my body was just like so skinny, and you could only see like my face and my neck and a little bit of my shoulders, but I could just tell in the video compared to now, I was so skinny, and that was at the beginning of my pregnancy, and I just was so small. But I took a test, and I waited at least like 3 weeks after I thought that I was pregnant to get a test, because I did not have a car, and I did not have a lot of people around me that I just felt like I could trust with that kind of information. So I didn't go to the store and get one, and I didn't want to walk to the store, and it was just a lot of things, and I was kind of scared at the same time. So it was a test for me to go get a test, but I ended up finally getting one. And then when I found out, I was not happy. Wasn't happy at all. I was upset, I was mad, I was embarrassed, I was sad. I was just a lot of different things, but happy was nowhere on the list. Excited was nowhere on the list. I didn't feel like my life was over, but I felt like I failed in a way, and I felt like I was disappointed in myself not only, but my family as well. And I hadn't even told them yet. I actually waited a long time before I told them anything. But I was like kind of trying to put it off. I spoke to her dad, and we just weren't seeing eye to eye, and I was just like, you know what? Well, I'm gonna go make this appointment, and you can do what you do and I'll do what I do, and it's just gonna be that. I tried that, and God was just like, that's not gonna happen. I actually tried twice to make an appointment. Nothing ever worked. Nothing ever went forward. I couldn't even get to the doctor's office. God was just blocking all of my plans that I had for myself, and the decisions that I made about my life. God was like, is that what I told you? Is that what I said? Did I give you that direction? And when all of those answers were no, it was just like, okay, well, what do I do now? Eventually, my god sister, which is her godmother, she had started calling me like crazy. And at the time, I was dealing with like a really intense situation with my roommate and our apartment, and it was like really toxic, and I was not in a good place like emotionally either, and I felt like really depressed and by myself. So I really just tried to like stay to myself and only communicate with people that I could feel normal with and feel safe with at the same time. She was calling me, and she lives in Baltimore, and she just kept checking on me. Like every other day she was checking on me, and I'm like, should I tell her? I don't know. Should I tell her? I don't know. I ain't really telling nobody. I don't think so. Then she calls me one day, and I told her about every other situation. So I'm like, let me just tell her. Immediately, she was just like, you need to call your mom. You need to tell somebody. You need to go to the doctor. You need to take prenatals. Have you been sleeping? Have you been eating? Did you take any medicine? Did you do this? Did you do that? And all of the answers to those questions were no. I just was not prepared. I wasn't trying to do any of those things. I didn't even think about doing any of those things. So I was just in a completely different headspace, and I was like, maybe she's right. So eventually I ended up going to the emergency room because I didn't have a doctor in Orangeburg where I was going to school. So I went to the emergency room just so that I could see like what they could see there. And they did an ultrasound or some form of an ultrasound, but they don't have the type of equipment that you really need to see that kind of thing in the hospital. So, well, in the emergency room. So, hey girl. So they prescribed me some prenatals and they gave me a list of OGBYNs to go to in Orangeburg. But by the time I would have made an appointment and everything, because I'm on my parents' insurance, they would have found out anyway. So my next task was to tell my family. Between that time when I found out I was pregnant and I told my family, I had done a fashion show at my school. I had been to different events. I had been traveling, a whole bunch of different things that I was doing. I wasn't eating like I normally was. I didn't have morning sickness, but I had like a very sensitive nose. So if something I didn't like, I could smell, it made me feel disgusting, but I didn't feel like I needed to throw up. I threw up literally twice when I was pregnant from being pregnant, and that was in the very beginning, and then the next time was towards the end of my second trimester. Those were the only times that I actually got sick because of my pregnancy. Fast forward, I write multiple text messages to each member of my family, mom, dad, brothers, and sister, and they're all personalized, saying the same things, but also including different things that I wanted to say to them individually. It took me the longest time just to send those messages simply because I was gonna send it to my dad first. And it was just super hard for me to tell my dad because it really makes me feel some type of way when I disappoint him or when I break his heart. And I knew that was gonna be something that broke his heart simply because like me and her dad were not together, are not together. It was like, I'm gonna be doing this by myself. I am by myself. I was literally by myself for so long, and I was just like being dramatic but also like really depressed, and I didn't let them in. So I knew he was gonna feel some type of way about all of those things. And then like, hello, it's baby girl, it's his baby girl. I mean, I'm not the baby, but you know, it's his daughter, so he would want everything to be good for me to be bringing a child into this world, and that's not what it was. I was nowhere near financially stable for a child, and that's definitely something that I was considering when talking to my dad. One question that I got was it hard for me to tell my parents because they are pastors? I don't think that made it difficult for me. The most difficult part about it was the disappointment and the different things that would pop in my head about like what he would say about it or what they would say about it when we were growing up. When I was in middle school or early high school, being promiscuous and getting into trouble for stupid things like staying up all night on the phone or whatever, just being irresponsible. Those things crept back in my mind, and it made me feel like I was still a kid getting pregnant, you know, but I wasn't a kid. I was 24. I just turned 25, but I was thinking like this is happening to a child. But I wasn't a child. I was being really dramatic. My hormones on top of that were making me a little crazy. I was on the phone with one of my best friends for like 7 hours. I just was so scared. I was crying for 2.5 hours before I sent send on the message to my father. So I finally pressed send, and I send the message to him, and then I copy and paste all the other messages to everybody else in my family. By 8 a.m. the next day, all of them had read their messages. I can't speak for my older brother, but I know that my mother, father, younger brother, and younger sister all read those messages by 8 o'clock the next day. By 6 p.m. that same day, I was back home. And the messages that I received from them in return was just, it was so much love and compassion. Like, are you okay? Are you really good? I just didn't know what to do with it. I was so lost, and I was so upset with myself that I didn't realize I needed love and I needed to feel supported, and I didn't feel that, and I wasn't sharing it with anybody that I was close with where I went to school, because I don't know, I was in a different place, and I felt like if I can't even tell my family, like, why should I tell these people, you know? And they all have their own stuff going on, they have their own lives that they need to focus on. I'm like, I can't do that. So my family, like my mom, she was asking me the typical questions, like, what was happening, how are you doing, who's her dad, just different questions. Were you in a relationship? Like, how did this happen? And are you okay? That was her biggest concern. And my younger sister was like, I work at Crocs. We can get baby Crocs. We can make baby food from scratch. This is not that expensive. I won't be that far away at school. I can come back and help you whenever you need it. You're not alone. You have us. We're not gonna let anything happen to you. My little brother was just like, come home like today, which is why I ended up coming home that day. I was thinking about open adoption at the time, and my little sister told me that she felt like if I did that, then it would be taking the easy way out. People do this all the time, and you have support. You're not going to be by yourself, so you can do this. And all the messages that I was reading just like made me cry, because I'm like, yo, hey girl, you can't stand up yet. I'm like, yo, these people love me so much. Like, yes, they're my family, but I just was so upset and so depressed that I wasn't believing that they would actually feel this way. I came home and I talked to my dad. Eventually he got to the point where he could really talk to me, and he let me know how he felt about everything. And like I said, he was just concerned that this is not the way that he wanted me to have to do this, and he didn't want me to have to do it by myself. But in reality, I'm not by myself, because I have all of them and they love the both of us, and whatever we need, if I can't literally do it myself, then I always have help. It wasn't really the fact that they were pastors, it was just the fact that they were my parents, and I didn't want to disappoint them for anything, especially not with her. But she's not a disappointment, she's a miracle. Especially with like the stress and the different things that I was putting my body through. She is completely perfect, and I can't thank God enough. Going into my second trimester is when I finally came home. I was showing a little bit. Up until like my 3rd month of pregnancy, I wasn't showing at all. If I wore baggy clothes, or even if I wore like something fitted, I could still kind of suck my stomach in and walk around. So nobody knew. I didn't tell the world. I told like some close friends and family, and then I edited my close friends' stories so that my friends and family that I really wanted to be a part of the experience could share in my pregnancy journey with me. Immediately when I came home, my mom booked me an appointment for the doctors. Oh, what happened? She booked me an appointment for the doctors, and at this appointment, because I hadn't been to a real doctor, they did an ultrasound. I found out her sex. They did blood work, and they checked my cervix. They did everything that was supposed to be done up until that point. And by the time I went to the doctors, I was either 21 or 22 weeks. So I found out what she was, and she was a girl. And that moment, I already knew what her name was going to be and everything. I never looked up any boys' names, because I just knew from the very beginning that I was going to be having a girl. My mom chose her middle name out of some names that I was considering. She didn't even know that her middle name was one of the names that I was considering, but she chose that. And my blood work came back, and I had low iron, which was usual for me because I have iron problems anyway. Everything was the way it was supposed to be. My sleeping started to change a little bit, simply because I could no longer lay on my stomach comfortably, and that's how I sleep. But it wasn't really that bad. At that point, my eating had gotten to be normal again. My smells were, I'm not gonna say normal, but they were tolerable. Things didn't make me feel nauseous anymore. I felt like I was eating way more. Everything was good. She was growing the way that she was supposed to be growing. I was healthy, and I was way more content when I got home than when I was in Orangeburg. I just felt so much lighter, and I felt so much better when I finally got back to Bluffton. just back to my family altogether. My third trimester wasn't really that bad either. The bigger that I got, the more uncomfortable things got, the more pressure I felt in my pelvis, the lower that she sat, the more I started to waddle and feel like I was carrying a bowling ball around all the time. I was still working, so that became a little bit more strenuous as far as my energy wise, because first trimester you're like more tired, second trimester you have like this huge burst of energy, you just feel like superwoman, and third trimester you're just tired again. So by the third trimester I was just so ready to stop working and just ready to lay down and sleep all the time, but I couldn't. I still had things to do. I was painting this room, I was cleaning it, I was getting things ready for her, I was organizing clothes, I was organizing my life. It was just a lot going on. And then when I went to work, I used to be able to sleep or get a little bit of a nap, but laying down without a pillow between my legs just became so uncomfortable and unbearable that I couldn't even get my naps in at work. So like my last 2 weeks at work, I wasn't there like I was supposed to be, but if it was pregnancy related, then they really couldn't do anything about it. And my doctors told me that I could work up until I was no longer comfortable. At my job, the most that I would do is literally bend over to pick up some money and then drop it, and I would be walking around. I learned that it was easier for me to get my job done when I used a scooter and if I took my time and asked for help when I needed it. So with all of those things, it was all pretty well. I didn't have any stretch marks. I still don't have any stretch marks. My weight gain was about 45 pounds or so. By the time I had her, she was 8 pounds and 7 ounces. I gained more weight after she was born, which is crazy to me. My pregnancy experience really wasn't that bad. I feel like my emotions was the biggest part of it, not so much the physical aspect of it. I didn't get huge. I could still wear most of my clothes. By the end of my second trimester, going into my third trimester, I had to wear sweatpants all the time, at work all the time, because I just couldn't fit my pants anymore. But shirts and things like that, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I used to like wearing baggy clothes anyway, so like my larges used to fit regular and my extra larges used to fit like kind of loose, but not really. You could still see like this girl has a huge belly. Oh, my mama's sleepy. My baby shower was stressful. Planning that was stressful in my opinion, because I just wanted things to be simple and I didn't want to stress about anything, and I didn't really care about how things looked, or aside from like my makeup and what I wore, which I ordered at the very last second. I didn't really care too much, and I didn't want to do a lot of stressing and planning and all of that. I didn't feel like it. I really didn't feel like it. I'm not the one that's excited to plan things in the first place, so I definitely wasn't excited to plan a baby shower. But I was excited for her to come. I just wasn't excited for the baby shower. I was excited about the things that she was gonna get. I was excited about all of those things for her, but for myself, like, no, not really. But it was still a good baby shower. And then I ended up having to get some vaccines for her before she was born, just so that when she was born, if I had anything, like if there was any bacteria or anything, it wouldn't be transferred to her. I don't remember what the vaccine was called, but I definitely got that. And one thing that I noticed about being pregnant, I have some discoloration from my neck to my face. My neck got darker when I was pregnant with her. It's lightening back up now, but that's definitely something that I was like, wow, does this happen to every mom, or is like this a new thing? I wasn't expecting that, but that's really the biggest thing. The last trimester is the fourth trimester, and that's technically right now, because she is going on 4 months. She'll be 4 months on the 27th. The fourth trimester is just like from the time that she's born up until, you know, like where you are now. And the fourth trimester has been by far the best, because I actually have her here with me. She's growing the way that she's supposed to be growing. She's had her first set of shots. She's eating rice cereal with her food now. She's still breastfeeding, and she's doing an absolute great job. You see she's a little bit fussy right now, and I think that's because baby girl is starting to teeth a little bit. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's what's happening, and that makes her a little bit fussy. You see? It makes her a little bit fussy, but she's such a sweet baby. She's such a sweet girl. She loves music. She loves playtime. She loves her family, her pop-pop, her mima. She's just so sweet and so perfect, and I can't thank God enough. Like, I thank God literally every day that I was blessed to have such a beautiful daughter, such a smart little girl, such a healthy little girl. I wouldn't trade this, her, or anything about being a mom for anything else in the world. It's the most fulfilling job that I've ever had in my life, and I'm absolutely in love with being her mom. It's like, it's crazy, it's ridiculous, but I'll make a video about that another time. If there are any other questions that you have about my personal pregnancy experience, or just being pregnant or being a new mom in general, please leave me a comment down below, or you can DM me on Instagram. I'll leave my handles in the description box. Just let me know, reach out to me. If I can be of any help to you, then I definitely will. Speaking of help, if there are any new moms that are coming up, that you have daughters on the way, or you have a newborn little girl and you need some clothes, please reach out to me. I have a lot of clothes that she was gifted and that we got that she can no longer wear because she is going into the 3 to 6 month clothing range. So from now on, I'll be buying 3 to 6 months and up. So if you have a daughter that you would like to receive some clothes for, then just let me know and I'll do my best to get those to you, whether that be shipping or you can come pick them up if you're in the Bluffton area, whatever works best for you. Thank you guys for joining us. I thank you for being a part of this journey with the both of us. And I thank you for being patient while she whines and fusses because she's teething. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. And just keep on rocking with us. Thanks, guys.